All right, I would like to introduce our speaker for this evening, Karen Wu, Head of Operational Excellence at Hyundai Capital Canada. She is a leader in digital innovation projects using technologies such as OCR, RPA, NLP, and task mining. She oversees data analytics, data science, and workforce management in her current role and uses it to drive further. Karen started her career as a CPA at E&Y in audit with a broad range of experience in the manufacturing, retail, pharmaceutical, financial services, and real estate industries. Prior to her role there, Karen led ERP and finance automation projects as the head of accounting and reporting at Hyundai Capital. Help me to welcome Karen to the floor. Thank you so much. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Hillary. Thank you for the kind introduction. Before I start, I want to be first invited to that wine tasting event. I can get that. But joking aside, I love wine. I've been to about 50 wineries in the past year, just between Canada and US. So I guess I'm going to start sharing my screen, right? One second. Do you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is this, do you see the whole thing, or is it, let me see, maybe this,
We see the PowerPoint.
just PowerPoint, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. So today I'm going to be talking about unlocking the next generation of customer experience. This is actually a topic that's near and dear to my heart because it's something that I've always been wanting to talk about to people, even people around the company, because there's just so much buzz around it. When we're talking about the next generation, I think all of you are already thinking, AI, ChatGPT, we already talked about it earlier. And AI is such a big topic nowadays. It's actually in every single industry, and customer service is no exception. So most people know about it, but there's still a lot of unknowns. And I will be the first one to admit, I don't know it all either. But today, what I'd like to do is share what I've learned so far, and hopefully you can take something away by the end of it. Before I start talking about AI generation, the AI generation of customer experience, many of you may have probably heard about the Hyundai brand or maybe driven a car, but maybe not many of you have heard about heard of Hyundai Capital specifically. So Hyundai Capital is the financial service arm of Hyundai Motors Group, Kia, and Genesis. So we're essentially a subsidiary that deals with the loan and lease financing of the cars. We have about 15 Hyundai Capital entities around the world, and in Canada, we've been established since 2014. We have a portfolio of about 275,000 of customer, and we're still growing. And across the 3 different OEM brands, we support more than 400 dealers across Canada. And by the way, this picture here is the newest G80. I thought it was pretty sexy inside, so that's why I shared that picture here. Rewinding 8 years ago when we actually launched in Canada, we were just trying to stay above water, just making sure that if the customer wants to reach us, they can call us, they can email us, so we can help them. So it's really your basic customer service from the 90s. But now as we grow, we knew that we really have to pivot so that because customers' expectations are different nowadays, customers expect more. They have different needs. And we knew that the first thing we had to do was really transition ourselves from customer service to customer experience. After all, we're really in the age of experiences, right? So you may say, what is customer experience? So first, Customers want you to understand what they're trying to say or do the first time around. So our agents need to have contextual understanding. Second, customer wants to have the experience to be frictionless. So they want a seamless digital enabled experience across all the channels. And third, they want personalized experience. So we need to actively learn what they want and provide the right context, the right service, the right product for them that's really relevant to them. And fourth, they really don't want issues to arise in the first place. So we really have to constantly monitor and measure that data to make sure that customer is satisfied at the end of the day. So in a world where personalization, instant gratification has become the norm, then leveraging technology to enable customer experience is more critical than ever. It's really the intersection of AI and customer experience that's reshaping how business is interacting with our customers. In fact, CX leaders around the world believe that AI and machine learning technologies will make a big splash in the CX world in the next 2 to 5 years. So when they were asked how AI and machine learning is going to have the most impact to their organization, 45% of them says that it will help them enable self-service for their customers. And then another 44% of them said that it will help gain actionable customer insight. And then another 40% says that it will free up staff so they can actually work on more high value tasks, essentially. So people are really seeing the value in AI and how that can be brought into the world of customer experience. And then on the other side, consumers are just as excited about AI. There are many experience, I guess, that AI experience that consumers are excited about. 50% of them, 52% of them are excited about having AI bring them, walk them through, help them through the product, a website, or a feature in kind of experience. And then about 47% of the customers are interested in getting personalized deals, maybe like ads, things like that. So they don't have to look around. And then 44% appreciate AI-driven product recommendations. So if you go on, Zara or, some other retail store, it's basically recommending something automatic for you based on what you were looking for. And why is that? It ultimately comes down to saving time and resolving issues faster. It also helps switching from a chatbot to a live agent easier. It also makes the service experience easier, not harder. And that's what people are looking for. And the interest and excitement is even bigger more pronounced in Gen Z. So yes, AI can really be an enabler to great customer experience. But ultimately, how do we go about enabling this AI generation? So let's get started. There's 4 steps here. So you first need to design the right architecture and platform for your CRM. So ask yourself, do you have the right systems that's ready to absorb this massive intelligence, massive information and data overload? Or are these systems siloed and not talking to each other? Are they ready to be integrated to be one single consolidated platform? Next step, you need to start building a single source of truth with your data. The thing is, with relevant AI, you need reliable data. This means redefining your knowledge base, maybe even connecting and harmonizing your data. Third step, you need to connect digital channels to your platform. So I'm talking about deploying real-time channels like self-service, chatbot, messaging to enrich customers' experience. And then lastly, launch your AI journey and create and test those AI models so you can build your AI foundation on top of that architecture, on top of that data lake. And there you have it. Our goal of creating AI-powered experience that's faster, more personalized, and scalable. So let's dive into some of these steps into more detail. So let's start with designing our CRM. How is Hyundai Capital building an architecture that will set us up for success? It's a tool, we want to have a tool that will allow us to build or maybe perhaps leverage out of the box AI feature for all customer interactions. And the premise is that we wanted one consolidated platform. But before I talk about what we have now, I'm going to talk about what we had before. And this example on the left is exactly what we had before. We had all channels held separately. The agents would access them separately as well, and they're not integrated at all. And more often than not, companies are in this kind of state where they have one system for phone, Outlook for email, another system for live chat, and then customer information lives in another system where you have to log in. And then if you want to maybe check status of a warranty, that's another system or inspection. So it becomes really complicated. And for some companies, they have different system for different countries or different subsidiaries. And there's a lot of information siloed and very high overage costs for IT as well. And now we have moved ourselves to the right of the screen, where we have an omni-channel platform that routes all calls, SMS, and chats and emails in one place. Agents can see all the customer interaction on one page, whether it's emails, chat, SMS, or phone. So a decision you actually have to make is whether you want to buy or build if you're kind of in this stage. But whichever route you're planning to take, it's really important to consider the longevity of your solution, whether you're buying or building. Does it allow you to easily customize? Can you layer on the technology on top of that? Can your agent actually access everything in one spot, so you don't have to bounce around 5 different systems to find things? This system, whatever you choose, is important because it will set the basis of how successful your AI journey is going to be. So let's say you have this foundation, all integrated, you got one system. So what's next? As I mentioned before, relevant AI means that we need to have reliable data. We need to ensure that we have a single source of truth. It means that we need to collect and aggregate the data or knowledge from all your systems into one centralized location. So I'm talking about the data from your customer management system, your ERP, things you might have on Excel. Is your knowledge base updated with relevant information? Are your knowledge article comprehensive and up to date? Are your data connected as well between the different systems, and are they harmonized? Or are we getting conflicting information from one system compared to another? These are things that we have to solve for first. A single source of truth solves for common problems like data delay, outdated data, or version control issues. Having multiple sources of information is a big problem, especially in large organizations, and the cost of it is really high. Because data changes over time, it's really easy for it to get out there and becomes out of sync, becomes fragmented, inaccurate, incomplete, and inconsistent. So as the data degrades, people that uses it loses trust in it as well. So you need to make sure that you're collecting the right data, cleansing it properly, it's hygienic, and then it's harmonized. You want to make sure that the data is also error-free, it's trusted, it's real time, it's useful, it's consistent. We have to make sure that we have a single source of truth first. Person at all, but if I can explain.
That's not good.
Did she freeze for others too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she froze.
Oh, we just lost her. Oh, there she is.
Oh, sorry about that. When did you lose me?
We go back to your slides.
Okay, give me a second.
I know you're talking about the single source of truth.
Single source of truth. Okay, give me a second.
Yep.
This one, was I on this side? What was I?
It was that slide. Yep. That's
Yeah. Okay, so I was talking about. It's not moving. You see my PowerPoint though, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
The screen is not minimizing for me. So I was talking about how about this as being so important, but how one of the ways we can control this is using the master data management system. If I can explain this in layman terms for you, it's really not that complicated. So what it really is essentially creating a single master record for every person, place, or thing in the business, whether it's internal, external data. It's a central data repository between the source system like the phones, the CRM, emails, and Excel, and then the end users, which can be your agents, your customers, or the customer portal. It's basically a repository where data is already cleansed. There's no duplicate information. It's linked and it's one place. Data that we can actually trust. And you may need data, master data at different levels. For example, you might need it at the customer level, product level, asset level, location, employee, dealer, vendors. So depending on the data, the type of data, the end user and the sources that the end user and the source system may need, it can be drawn from the different tables. And if the source system has more updated information, then I'll feed back into the master data management tool. And if vice versa, if the end user have more updated information, it'll feed back into the master data management system. So we know that we always have one source of record, essentially. Now, moving on to the third step. Third step is that we need to start enabling digital channels for our customers. So we want to enrich their experience, right? Think about all the different channels that your customer can reach you. Phones, emails, I assume most of you have these. And for us, Hyundai Capital, we actually had phones and emails since the beginning of time because it was effortless, seamless access. But nowadays, there's new technology, new digital channels that can be opened up to customers. Texting, WhatsApp, Facebook, live chat that you can engage your customers in. So you need to determine what is the right channel that you want to open up. What is your profile of the customer? Where will they be engaged? Where would they like to be engaged? Then there's a whole separate category of digital channel of self-service, where we want our customer to transact on their own, get their own information, get quick answers or solutions on their own. Customer portal, website, chatbot are some examples. And not only can they be a source of to solve customer problems, it can also be a source of revenue, a form of loyalty retention as well. So you need to think about how your customers want to be engaged and what is the right mix of async and sync contact channels. Remember, you want to create a frictionless experience for your customers. Now, let's say you've got the right architecture, you've got reliable data, and then you've got your digital channels in place. What does that allow us to do? It's the most exciting part. It's launching our AI journey and implementing those AI technology across the channels. Now we can build the AI foundation. You can deflect cases, you can automate flows, you can assist agents, and you can optimize the process. So I categorize AI capabilities in the CX space into 3 areas. Automate, which are tools that would reduce manual workload or eliminate human interaction altogether on low value tasks. 2, assist. So these are tools that will help assist agents in their productivity by offering them suggestions. And 3rd, optimize. These are tools that will help optimize customer experience using data. So first, let's talk about the tools within automation. Within automation, one of the easiest ways to get into this space is to launch a chatbot. But there's different types of chatbots out there. There's a menu-based chatbot where you can't really type anything. It's more where you have to select predefined suggestions and click through it. There's also keyword-based chatbots, and these are the ones where you would type in certain keywords and they will understand what you're trying to say. It's basically defined based on keywords or what they call utterance, and bot will recognize that and match it to a particular intent. For example, I want to pay or I'm looking to make a payment. Those 2 utterance are gonna be linked to the same intent. It's a bit more complicated than the menu-based chatbot, so it's a bit more, requires a bit more model training as well. The next level is AI-powered bot, which is using more generative AI, like ChatGPT as you know it, using natural language understanding. But if anyone plans to launch chatbot in their company, I would suggest start small, maybe a small scope with menu-based chatbot first, and then maybe move on to keyword-based chatbot with a hybrid approach, and then eventually use AI-powered chatbots. Next, automated responses. This is something really cool because you don't even need human interaction in this case. It can be done with channels like emails or chat. So with the knowledge articles you already have, you can generate responses back to the customer using machine learning by simply linking them to an article or simply summarizing that knowledge article for them and then just putting that in the email. And there's no human interaction that'll be required in this case. Now there's also another situation where maybe the case is a bit more complicated and it requires human interaction. Well, AI can step in and do case classification for you. So whether it's an email, chat, or phone, let's make sure we route that case to the right department. Maybe AI is able to understand the content of that conversation and pinpoint the reason why the customer is reaching out. So if that's the case, let's automatically classify that and route that to the best department. It reduces transfer calls. It makes sure it reduces it ensures customer satisfaction by making sure they're not annoyed talking to someone that they didn't need to talk to in the first place, and don't have to repeat the situation again and again. And then lastly, process automation. There are some transactional process that customer performs or agent performs that's on the IVR, on the website, and you might have some back-end process as well that you need to complete that transaction. So why not look at using RPA to automate that routine process? Essentially, you would have a bot mirror what a human would do in the back end to complete that transaction. So just make sure that it's a stable process, it's a very structured process that you can define well, and step by step can be written out. Now, moving on to Assist. This is like a whole set of tools that I would say is relatively new, and it's available to help with agent productivity. With real-time Assist, this is where a customer will get a call, for example, and AI will generate automatic cues to prompt the agent on the next best action. So if they forgot to authenticate the customer, it'll flag them and give them a warning. It will prompt them maybe when now they need to provide a payment plan option, or now they need to close the call and ask if the customer has any further questions. So there's a lot of options you can implement here by making sure that the agent doesn't forget what they should be saying. In terms of article recommendation, this will help recommend the best article for the agents when they're talking to the customer on the phone or emailing the customer. So they don't have to search for it. It just basically shows up when they are working on the case, so they can refer to it and not need to look for it in the knowledge library. And reply recommendation. I think someone was talking about earlier how Teams, you have recommended replies already. So this is a similar case where you have an agent not needing to type anymore and have ready-made sentences or emails suggested to them, and all they need to do is just click accept. So everything is practically done for them, and they just need to verify that that's the response they want to send out. And that would save a lot of time in terms of the handle time on some of these conversations. And then lastly, case wrap up. So let's say the call ends or the email thread closes. Fast forward 2 weeks. If the customer calls us again, we don't want to reread the whole conversation and see what's going on. This AI ability will help summarize the whole conversation for you, put down all the keynotes so that if someone needs to look at this in the future, it's already summarized quickly for them and you can understand the past interactions. Now, the last section, optimize. You want to use data to optimize your CX experience using AI. So with real-time sentiment escalation, it's basically, you can imagine AI listening to your conversation between agent and the customer the whole time. In the background, it's scoring how the customer is feeling. And once the customer starts to show signs of frustration or they're angry, tone is like rising, it will automatically route the call to a supervisor. So your supervisor can focus on those calls earlier and before the calls get really nasty, and to make sure that customers are satisfied. Second, Second is insight mining. With speech analytics, we can identify trends of contact reason, really understand why customers are calling, and we can take appropriate action. Do we see a particular rise in certain complaints after we launch maybe a new program, new incentive? Maybe there was a website glitch. Do we see certain agents not being able to consistently answer the customer questions? So maybe that's a training, coaching opportunity. There's really a lot of things that you can do with having conversation being mined, because you essentially get 100% of the population. You can Google anything you want, basically, from a conversational standpoint. You can set up insight dashboard, kind of like a Reader Digest of all the important things that you may need to know in a particular day if you really want. And then lastly, second last is personalization. So with the data, you have a lot of information about your customers, preferences, history, behavior, where they're located. And using this information, you can personalize incentives, ads, or offers to them, and even personalize support. And you can reach out to them proactively to help them if we already anticipate that they need the help. So that's very different from what we have nowadays, because customers are reaching to us when they need help. And then real-time UX analytics. So this is when AI is going to be automatically detecting any bugs, dead links, API errors on your website. So this will allow your company to know the problem earlier and fix it immediately. So you don't need to wait for a customer to call you back and tell you there's an issue with your website, which could be days later. So with all the AI that's available and to be implemented, we also really need to consider how our support model looks like and how we can create those trusted AI experience. So starting with our channel strategy, we want to be able to provide the right mix of async and sync channels to provide a seamless experience for your customers wherever they need help. Then you want to expose your customers to the self-service so they can try to resolve the issues on their own if they can, especially if these are low-value, high-touch items. We want to tailor to the customer profile, make sure the UI is easy to use. And if they still really need help and they want to interact with the human, then it needs to be able to route them to the best available agent in that support model, and the right channel as well. So it's important to have a proper omni-channel strategy so it lands to the right department. And once the case does land on the agent console, the agent should have everything on their screen to help the customer effectively and efficiently. And we need to after that, we need to consistently and continuously monitor the performance and use those insights to fix issues or errors proactively and make sure those issues don't occur again. So this will be actually a continuous cycle of assessing, monitoring as we go through this AI revolution. All right, so what did we talk about today? Well, we talked about how customer expectations are changing. So we better fasten our seatbelts for how things are going to be evolving with customer experience and technology. We should choose the right partner or platform that would allow us to build on top of it, having a single platform for your agent. But in order to leverage what AI has to offer, we need to build a single source of truth. Data is king, so it's important to get your data in order. Also, digital channels are so important now, regardless of industry. So engage your customers there and define your customer journey. We also talked a lot about AI technology that are up and coming. And remember, AI is there to be an assistant. It can be a very powerful tool, but it's not a replacement. So be careful, go slow, and test your AI models because AI hallucination and confusion is real. And sometimes AI doesn't know what they're talking about. We've seen those cases in ChatGPT. So throughout this whole process, communication is also key. You want to communicate up, down, across to make sure everyone understands, but also accepts those changes. We need to continuously evaluate our systems and process, involve our technology to scale, to be leaders in our space. So with the right deployment, AI can really help drive human engagement. It can increase agent and customer satisfaction. It will reduce costs, empower your team, and hopefully meet your customer expectation at scale. So that is all today. Please enjoy your ride to the next generation of customer experience. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll open up the floor.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Karen. It was very informative and actually opened my eyes to several different things. As Karen mentioned, we do have an opportunity right now to ask her some additional questions if you are interested in doing that about her presentation. Let me see. We have a comment in the chat that says, excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Karen? Let's see. Another thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Barbara again. How difficult is it to build something like this integrated system for getting all the data in one place and talking to each other and cleaned up? That sounds like it's so crucial.
It actually was a long journey for us. So we're now at the stage of having one integrated system. But before we actually started this, we actually had a whole data migration project to have a centralized data repository. And that took about a year for us to cleanse because we had data from different places and different sources of information living in different places. And to clean that up, it was a lot of efforts from the business to understand what data they need and ultimately how we can put them into a repository that talks to all the different systems. And that took at least a year and it had heavy IT involvement to make sure this was successful.
If it only took a year, you're doing quite well.
We were also, I would say we were quite young at the time. So there were not, compared to someone who was a bit more, who had many years and many data and many system, we were definitely more easier to consolidate than probably other companies.
Someone else in the chat asks, what is the most significant unseen challenge you have faced in your role?
I would say that all these technologies seems fine and handy. It's great, but one big aspect that is sometimes missed in these implementation is change management. It seems it seems like everyone may accept, you know, the change, automation, everything's coming. That would help them with you know, their work, but some people may not be on the same page. Some people are afraid that they might lose their job. So a piece of it is really managing that expectation, and that's some of the stakeholders who are involved in setting that stage. So as much as this automation and implementing the technology is important, how, how much of your success of that project is dependent on people means that you need to also deal with change manage as much. So I've learned over time that we need to put our focus also on change management, and that you need to make sure all communication is very clear with all parties and make sure that they're aligned. If there's any resistance, you want to address them quicker than later, if you can. No problem.
Let's see. We have another. Well, we'll read it. I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but we'll find out. Domino's has been using AI when I place orders. I wonder if it notices my frustration and intonation in my voice, because after repeating myself a few times, it eventually gives me a real person. Or maybe it switches to a real person when I answer no after so many times it asks if my order is correct. That's interesting.
So it sounds like it was a phone system that you're calling and you want to place an order. Typically in IVR, I haven't seen them use speech analytics to understand frustration or intonation at the moment. But what was probably happening in that IVR is based on the number of times that it's not being able to understand what you're saying, it then will route you to a real person, so that you don't end up hanging up essentially. But I don't think they're at that stage yet where they're hearing that frustration. Usually that frustration intonation is usually when a call is actually happening with an actual human and they report that, but not usually in the IVR yet.
She said she understands now and thank you. And then we have another individual who's said outstanding presentation, a guide to what's happening in AI in the real world. I would agree with that. All right, do we have any further questions for Karen? All right, well, I will take the radio silence as a no, and I just want to take another moment to thank you so much, Karen, for your time and for joining us this evening to present. We rely on people like you who are willing to volunteer their time, and it was great to have you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome to stay on the line as we go through a couple of additional announcements, or you can sign off for the evening. The choice is yours.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
All right, let me bring my presentation up one more time. All right, is the presentation visible again? The PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me just make sure. Okay, this is a reminder to please fill out the event satisfaction survey that you will receive in your email on file. And a reminder that our VOC chair is now Chuck Cox. So you'll be receiving that email from him. And if you watch videos online of previous programs, please email him for those RU requests as well. In our upcoming 2024 program schedule, we are striving to provide 12 hybrid in-person virtual meetings, 4 per quarter, with a guest speaker, 1 tour of a company winery brewery, which will be in-person only. So this will be an in-person networking option. 1 community outreach event, Feed My Starving Children, Habitat for Humanity, or another organization similar to those. And then coming up March 14th, we have risk analysis and mitigation that will be presented by Linda Westfall. If you recall, she was our November speaker. So if that was a presentation that you were interested in seeing, but were not able to because of the technical difficulties that we had, she will be returning for a presentation next month. You can find your ASQ Phoenix section on social media. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube accounts. So if you have any one of these or all of them, please stay connected with us. Are there any final thoughts, comments, or questions prior to signing off for this evening? Let me check the chat one more time just to make sure. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank you for your attendance at tonight's meeting. We do rely on you to keep the Phoenix section going, and we're so glad to have you here. Be safe, stay healthy, and please remember to join us next month. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.